Hi, this is Michael at TV Radio 1972 with my first radio review of 2025, the Choyong A8W Portable Internet Radio. It's an internet FM radio with MP3 player, which can be operated by either Wi-Fi or SIM card. You can buy these for around $59.90 plus tax at Amazon. This was an interesting looking radio, so I figured why not buy one and try it out. Here's the box. They did the packaging very well on this. You have the model number brand on the front, and then in the back you have information. Choyong A8W Portable Internet Radio. The power input is 5 volts, 1 amp. Made in China. And then there's contact information such as an email, website, manufacturer, and address. Some logos in the bottom. This device complies with Part 15 of the FCC rules. And then there's a couple of codes, stickers. And that's pretty much it with the packaging. I wanted to show you the inside of it. They did pretty neat in the inside as well. That's it. And I'll show you what came with it. You have the user manual. Pretty basic pamphlet. Then a Type-C to 3.5 millimeter adapter for headphones if you want to use traditional headphones right here. So you can listen to headphones, although you can also buy Type-C type headphones, although I've read online that it's not compatible with Type-C headphones with DAC chip, whatever that means. So just be careful on the type of Type-C headphones or earbuds that you buy. But this should work well. And then the USB to Type-C charging jack, or charging cable, right here. Most of the new devices have this kind of connection. And then your wrist strap lanyard, which is off the radio, but if you choose, you can tie it onto your radio and carry it as so. And then this little cloth here, and then, or a little bag, I should say. And then here's the radio. Looks like a pretty neat portable. Now, I want to show you some size comparisons. The Sangean DT400W. And then the Midland ER50. Somewhat similar style. I'll give you the dimensions next. 5 5/8 of an inch in length, 2 7/8 of an inch in height, and 1 1/4 inch of depth. It has no telescopic antenna. The antenna is somewhere in the radio. When I touch it around here, it seems to enhance reception. So that's probably where the antenna is. Or possibly over here by the Type-C jack, which you can use a Type-C cable to get extra reception as long as it doesn't detect as a headphone. If it doesn't detect as a headphone, you should be able to hook a Type-C cable and still be able to hear speaker. So that's pretty neat. 2.5 inch by 2 3/4 inch speaker grill. So I'm guessing a 2 to 2.5 inch speaker. And it operates on a 2000 milliamp hour internal lithium battery, which I don't believe you can replace it. Would have been great if they did that. Now, I'll show you what's on the radio. I think I'll leave the radio in this position as I describe it. So you have your speaker grill on the left, the speaker inside a A8W, which is the model number, an LCD screen here, and then below that are the buttons. The OK button confirms an item, or you can also press it to search for stations via continents or countries or cities or states, but basically by location. The next button's the previous button, which you can go to previous track or rewind within a track. It also scrolls to previous items or stations, depending on what mode you're on. And then there's the next button, which goes to the next track or fast forwards within a track, and also used to scroll to the next item or station. The C button is used to return to the previous menu or cancel a function. And then below on the second row of buttons is the menu button. It opens up the main menu and also takes you to the search stations by location. Then next to it is the news button, which is your shortcut to news and talk stations, randomly selected by the aggregator that uses Choyong. And then the music button is next to that, is the shortcut to music stations that the aggregator chooses randomly. And then next has your favorites, which is the heart button. It saves and removes internet stations or tracks. It also lists your saved stations that were part of the stations you searched through your aggregator. And then there's the button below on the left, which I call the list button. It's the stations you added on your own through the Choyong website. If you know a URL of an internet stream, you can add it over there, either by using a verify code, a QR code, or through an account with Choyong. You can register your radio through an account there, and you can add stations that way as well. Then next to it is the settings button, which lists a bunch of settings. Your pause, play, voice search button, which is the red button on the bottom. That is used to pause or play tracks or stations. It's also used to voice search when you long press it. And then we'll go to the top of the radio, which I'll bring that up. The TF button is used to access your songs or tracks or podcasts, whatever you save on your files. The FM button is used to access the FM band. It's also used to search and store presets or search the bands. And then you can't manually tune it. You have to do either scan or search and store through presets. And then on the right, the red button, that is the power button, that is used to access the date and time and the day of the week. But it's also used to stop a function as well. And that's by short presses, and long press you turn on and off the radio. You can turn it on or shut it down. And then on the bottom, made in China, there's a faded code sticker. I've been using this a lot, so that's why it's all faded. And then your TF card and SIM card slot. Now, the SIM card slot is used if you don't want to use Wi-Fi. you can get a data plan that uses a SIM card as well. You can use that. That's pretty neat that they let you access the internet either through a SIM card or Wi-Fi. And then on the right, you have your multifunction button. Those are used, and I didn't even know it was on. I didn't even know the radio was on. But I digress. The multifunction knob, which is the top button, is used for tuning stations, changing tracks, selecting or confirm items is done when you press a button. I turned it off, so. And then the bottom button is used for your volume control and switch. So what happens is you can control the volume like this. When you go down in here, click, it puts the radio in sleep mode. And then in the middle, you have your Type-C jack, which is used for charging the radio, but can also be used for headphone listening. Now, headphone experience, no low-level hiss, and has a good sound to it. I like it. And then on the back is your Choyong logo. So what I'm going to do next is do some tuning. I'm going to do the internet tuning first. You long press to turn it on. Now, of course, with this kind of screen, you can't see it all that well, though it's coming out good now. That's probably as focused as it can be. But when I initially turn it on, it has the day, the month, and the year. And then it has the time, which is 11:36 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time from the northeastern part of New Jersey, or 5 hours later, or Eastern Standard Time, 5 hours later, UTC, and the day is Thursday. So we're almost on Friday in the East Coast. And I'll do some tuning. Now, have to unlock it. And then you can search. Now, search is basically your voice search, which you can search this way or through this button. Now, what I do is long press to speak. BBC. Now, the problem with it is it doesn't list any stations. So, unfortunately, the voice search does not work well. It just doesn't, unfortunately. However, I'll press C to go back to the previous item. And I can still search through continents. So, do various continents. I can use either the knob or the previous and next buttons. There's Asia, Africa, Europe, South America, North America, Oceania. So I'm going to search North America. Now, in the United States, it shows USA. And then it has sections for music, news, podcasts, which is basically just radio stations. There aren't actual podcasts, at least not in this model. National stations, and then your states and DC. So if I want to look at DC, I press that. There's C-SPAN radio, WHUR, Hot 99.5. There's more, but I'll just play C-SPAN radio just to show you a station. There it is.
The FAA, there was discussion on what we know so far and our process, and that was about it.
Ma'am, Chairwoman, Stephanie Ramos with ABC News. Similar to Tom Still's question.
Now, I'm also going to try Canada as well.
The crash, the state
which list their provinces. So I'm gonna go down to Ontario.
We conduct an important safety mission where
And there's a few stations there.
Very careful approach.
Solo Piano, Com Radio, CFRB Toronto, 100 greatest of the 80s. I'll try CFRB Toronto. It does take a little time to get to stations.
Expects the next Prime Minister to do the same. In Mississauga, a flurry of activity at Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie's campaign office. Hello. Running for a seat at Queen's Park for the first time.
It feels so good to put my name on a ballot once again so that I can represent you, hopefully as the next premier of this province, right?
Crombie is concerned about the future of Ontario's auto sector.
The premier has put
There's other international stations as well. I just wanted to show you the search function by location. Now, menu would get you the same thing as the OK. And then, also, I'll do this later. I'll use these buttons later on. But you can also use it for internet stations. Now, the news button, I have to put cancel first. And then news. Press news, and it'll give you randomly selected stations. News stations. BBC, RFE, RFI, Radio IFM. I'll just show you some of them. There's a lot of them being listed. So I think I'll do the BBC World Service. You can also use the previous and next buttons to scroll. Let me try BBC World Service, which I saved as a favorite anyway before.
And got to make the best out of it.
When did you first realize this was working? Because I've tried meditation. I find it quite hard to focus and get in that space. Does it just come very naturally to you, do you think?
So I remember when I first went, there's so many different things. Instead of getting overwhelmed by it, I said, let me sit and be still.
And then you can press the music button for randomly selected music stations that the aggregator pulls up. Radio Florida, 98 Zoom, Radio IFM, your classical, Russian dance, or you know what, I'm going to try classical. Your classical relax. So I just wanted to try it. It sounds good on music. And then this is the favorites button. I'm basically only going to play one station from each. But here's my list of stations that I saved as favorites. I'm going to scroll to RNZ Pacific. Even though I can get that on shortwave, but it's an interesting broadcast to listen to.
And increasingly severe weather disasters, but the government's new target requires emissions to fall just 1% point from 2030 to 2035. Climate change correspondent Eloise Gibson reports.
Before the government's target
now I'm going to
was
scroll
revealed,
through
experts on the international
the
politics
stations
of
I
climate
saved,
change said
but I'm not
aiming
going
for
to play them.
66 or 77% reductions might be enough for a credible contribution to fighting global heating. The Climate Change Commission said the country could achieve 66% reductions without shrinking the economy with cleaner farming, electricity and transport.
And then I can use these
What the
buttons
government
as
delivered
well
was a goal
to
of
search.
51 to 55% cuts off 2005 pollution levels between 2031 and 2030.
And then I'm going to go through the list of stations that I've saved. And you can add
It
stations.
meets the requirement for each country's target
You can
to be
add
bigger than
stations
its last, but whether it meets the promise of
through
the highest possible
choyongradio.com.
ambition
There's
has
a
been
verify
debated.
code.
Climate Change Minister Simon Watts defended the target on Morning Report today.
They're difficult to achieve.
And then you
As
can
a
add
government, we
streaming
have
radio
a strong
stations by scanning a
desire and
QR
determination
code
to ensure that we meet
or
those
by
targets.
having an account with
We'll have to wind
Choyong.
up
That's
that,
something they
ambition.
added.
But even some of his staunchest critics were left reeling by the smallness of the number. It's less than Brazil, a developing country, and far below the UK's 80%.
And I'm going to play Sports Byline USA as the list of stations that I saved by myself through, because I knew the streaming URL for that.
And so I had to really, take a look at myself and kind of try to figure out how to not ever get that deep in anything ever again.
Give me a definition of underground poker.
I would say underground poker are these private games that exist outside of a casino that are exclusive
And then,
membership of regular players.
and these are other stations that I
doesn't
was able to
operate
get
in,
my own
kind
URLs
of
for.
public settings.
And when you take a look at the people that are
Choyong Radio,
the stars, the athletes, the super
I believe, has a video on how to do that.
commonality
But if you know the URLs to internet streams, you can manually add it. Then there's the then there's also the settings button, data SIM card selection, Wi-Fi on and off, a backlight. I believe it goes from 10 seconds to always on, playtime limit, autoplay, the IMEI and iMac. Those are serial numbers for the radio. And then there's the version info, which I kind of have to turn on the side for you to read it clear. This is the current version, and then says you're using the latest firmware. And then, of course, this is the pause play voice search, which I already did using OK. But, like I said, it doesn't work well. So next we'll do TF card. I'll press the button, switch over to that. And then you can use the knob or these buttons to access the tracks. Or you can, I don't know why I pressed that button, but anyhow. You can fast forward or move to the next track. Or you can rewind or go to the previous track. You can actually save it by pressing the heart button, or you can press it again to not save it, and it'll go to a favorites folder, which is my favorites folder right there, if you were to save a track that you have. Next, we're going to go to FM. And this is where the flaws really are with this receiver. It's the FM. But I figured I'll show you the FM anyway. I'm going to adjust the lighting a little bit because, I don't know, it's not coming off well. I kind of have to turn on angle. So, now reception on this with the antenna alone is not very good. You see very poor reception on WNYZLD. New York City, which is the audio TV channel 6. However, if I hook a charging cable like this, it will get better. See how much better it sounds?
또 레귤러 프로그램 보고 또 템포럴리로 나오는 프로그램들은 보고 또 그거에 플러스해서 받을 수 있는 크레딧은 그랜트는 뭐고 그랜트도 뭐 아시겠지만 굉장히
Here's another problem with this receiver. The FM, the stations are off by 0.1 megahertz. This is actually 88.3 WBGO, Newark, New Jersey, but it's scanned as 88.2 for some reason. Yeah, that's a flaw. But I'll get you through the band scan anyway.
I was like, what's a sampler? So I can sample these sounds? Okay, let me look into this. And I started doing, research.
Thrown out. Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Lower Manhattan.
During today's
You have heard commercials from out-of-state tax resolution firms, and that's just it. They are out of...
I said, what's the name of your insurance company? Call them and ask them, do they know Top Dog? Watch what they...
Términos adicionales.
Los Reyes del Humor, Raymond, Miguel.
Y yo tengo un... Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it.
PODBER and click on the Contact Us button. And
there to help you choose the coverage you need. Welcome to my crib. No one says that anymore, but I don't care.
I'm gonna show you.
It can't be on for 12 hours?
What do you mean? Oh, is it? I don't know.
That rule doesn't apply to you.
Oh, okay.
I think there's something in the system that if you call and you get on,
The absolute authority. I mean,
Cruz is special.
1027.
And I just hit the camera stand.
Some people have to be delivered from themselves. Pray that they might cry to you for salvation.
103.5 KTU and iHeartRadio station.
Download the free iHeartRadio app today for all your favorite music, radio, and podcasts.
I can't relate.
95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. It all starts with an online intake form. From there, a medical provider...
Now you can also scan by long pressing and it'll get you to a next strong station, although this is not and that is it for that. So as far as FM is concerned, and when I did the scan and store without any Type-C cable as an antenna or touching this, I got about 23 stations. However, with this kind of connection here, I was able to get up to 40, but they weren't all actual stations. Some of them in the scan would give duplicates on a couple of occasions, and even noise. A7.5 was just noise when I did the scan on this one. And it's basically you long press to do an auto search and store. So, to me, FM is not very good on this, and basically that's the weak part of it. Now, as far as final thoughts are concerned, I mean, the things I like about it is that it's portable, the audio sounds good, the search for stations by location is good, the ability to add your own stations through Choyong's website, that's great, in case the aggregator they use is ever obsolete, and I'm satisfied with Choyong's aggregator. Now, what I don't like about it is there's no telescopic antenna for FM, can only tune FM by presets or scanning, it misses stations during the scan and store, and FM stations are 0.1 megahertz below the actual frequency in most cases. I also don't like that it uses the Type-C jack for headphone listening instead of the 3.5mm jack. It's nice they put the adapter where I would have preferred an actual 3.5mm jack. The voice search does not work properly, and it doesn't list stations at all. The battery's not replaceable. That's another thing I don't like. And sometimes the radio will freeze if you use the multi-functional knob frequently. Sometimes that happens, and that's another flaw with this receiver. Now, as far as the rating is concerned, I'll give this a 6 out of 10, 3 stars for the reasons that I mentioned. As far as a recommendation, I'll give it a maybe recommendation because there is a fun factor to it, and that's why I gave it a 6 out of 10. Middle of the road 3 stars. That's why I did it, because it does have a fun factor to it. So I can give it a maybe recommendation. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notifications to be updated on upcoming radio reviews, DXing, and other radio-related videos, and on occasion, some TV. So have a good week, everyone. Stay safe, God bless, and 73s. Bye-bye.